Hello, and welcome back to Elden Ring. This is part 4 of our dexterity build through the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Last time we went through the Cerulean Coast and Castle Ensis, getting ourselves the ability to craft hefty rock pots. We got lightning perfume bottle, star-lined sword. We also got a curved sword, but I put that into storage and so it disappeared from here. But we also got a map. We got Milady. It feels like such a weird thing to say. But anyways, we also got Rolana's cameo. We got a new shield that focuses more on magic damage negation. And we got a new DLC sorcery. We also got the Spelldrake Talisman +3 and the Remembrance of Twin Moon Night. And this time, we got Saransbach.
Righteous Tarnished, what brings you here?
Well, I am much obliged. To think there was a cross left in such a faraway place, and the deep purple water lilies would be blooming there. This can only mean kindly Mikola has divested himself even of that. His adoring other self, his blossom of slumber.
Righteous Tarnished.
Okay.
Welcome. I, for you, things. Goodbye.
I thought that we were going to get a reward for that. For supplying with information. But no reward was given. I wonder if you have to give a certain amount in order to get a reward. Or if there just is no reward. Which is entirely possible. I doubt there'd be any dialogue for like this one. Considering Lada's already here, so he should know about it already. Monk's Missive. Seek me to the east if you wish to pursue the way of the warrior. When you find me, you will challenge me to a bout. There's no need for words.
You have a knack for timing, my fellow. I found the site of a new cross. Take this. Mikola has said as much himself. He wishes now to throw it all away. He says the act, though undoubtedly painful, will sear clean the Erdtree's wanton sin. The truth of his claim can be found at each cross. It is evidence enough to earn my belief. Go to the misshapen tree of Umbra. In that forsaken place, blood must spill. The blood of your fellows, the Erdtree faithful. Go to the misshapen tree in that
The maps like this, I don't know if it's just me or if other people have this problem, but I cannot decipher these. It is illegible to me. Could just be a me problem. But, Lita.
Hello again. Did you meet my compatriots? They're quite the congregation, from places as far and wide as you can imagine. Doubtless they'd have all come to blows at first glance, were it not for the charm kindly Mikola put upon us. This is what allows us to serve together, the work of a living god. Wondering about the horn scent, are you? True enough. In any other circumstance, he'd be at our throats. Long ago, Queen Marika commanded Sir Messmer to purge the Tower folk, a cleansing by fire. It's no wonder the horn scent holds the Erdtree in contempt. That aside, Man is by nature a creature of conquest, and in this regard, the Tower folk are no different. They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war, but it's still a wretched shame. Wondering about the horn scent, are you? True enough. Long ago, a cleanse. It's no wonder that aside, and in this regard, they were never saints. They just happened to be, but it's still a wretched shame.
Okay. So... at some point in the last run, I know I mentioned it when I was at Reclusus's River. I don't know if I mentioned it at a later point. I might have, but where my allegiances lie with all the NPCs, and having beaten the DLC now, that was rude. Anyways, having beaten the DLC now, they haven't changed that much. Sir, you're being rude. But I'm not a big fan of Leda anymore. She's still up there, but for a decent while, at least before beating the DLC, she was my favorite. But the fact that you're forced to go against her, like, even if you side with her for the Hornsent and Ansbach, the fact that you're still forced to fight her, that kind of hurt her standing in my eyes. Again, she's still up there. She's still definitely above Hornsent, because I'm not a big fan of Hornsent. This might be unpopular, but I still like her more than Moore. Not a big fan of Moore. He seems like a good person, but something I brought up with a few friends, and something that they agreed, two of the three agreed with me on, is the DLC, like, doesn't have merchants. Because if you think about the merchants in the DLC, there's more, but his supply is very underwhelming. And you have Talia. And outside of Talia's concoction, his supply is very underwhelming. And even his concoction, it isn't like an objectively good or useful thing. It's just like a funny joke item that you can drink and then die. So it's good because it's funny, but that's really all it has going for it. So it's not like an actual good item. Oh, this is there, okay. Gotcha. But yeah, the DLC only has 2 merchants, and none of them have good supplies. And because of those 2 things, or because of that, those 2 things wrapped into one of the merchants are very underwhelming in the DLC. And because more likely to you're forced to go against and fight, even if you help. I'm just not a big fan. And something my friend brought up, which I thought was a really good idea, and part of why I really hope that there's an Elden Ring 2 is the base game merchants, the nomadic merchants. They brought up the idea of there being like a region or a section where there's just a wandering caravan, and it's just like a full-on city, basically. Like the size of Prospect Town, but it's just full of merchants. And there can be one that focuses specifically on mushrooms and all the different kinds of mushrooms, and one that's focused on like animal pieces. So like beast livers, great dragonfly heads, stuff like that. Stuff that's not really difficult to get, but stuff that you'll never have a good supply of, because getting it is time consuming and you can't just buy it. Like, you have to farm it. So they brought that up as an idea of having just a town, like a town-sized caravan. And I really liked that. But we didn't get that. And what we did get was two, in my opinion, two very underwhelming merchants. Even if you like their personalities, the stock that they hold is garbage. Also, by the way, the second character that I ran through the DLC with magic, you can just shoot these guys with magic. It was great. Didn't even have to fight. I went through this entire section, actually, only fighting the Black Knight boss over there. No other enemy even took a swing. It was great. But anyways, yeah, not a big fan of how the DLC dealt with merchants. But I still like Lita. Just not nearly as much as I did before. And like I said, mostly because even if you side with her in killing both NPCs, I don't know if she goes to kill any more. I don't think she does. I think it's just Hornsent and Ansbach. Could be missing one, but I think it's just those two. But even... But... God, you guys are so mean. I'm just trying to goof around a little bit. You know what? I'm bringing out the whips. If a FromSoft game is getting too hard, just pull out whips. Makes the games infinitely easier. Nope. Anyways, as I was saying, even if you side with her at every possible opportunity, she still goes against you. And that kind of hurt her standing in my eyes. Because even if it locked you out of a boss, or gave you a different boss, I would have liked to stay as allies. I would have liked to go with, or at least have the option to go with Mikola. Because I think that would have been great. Being forced at the end to decide between killing Mikola to gain power, or to side with him and to give up that power, and to have Mikola rule over the Land of Shadow and have him be a potential future threat. I think having that as a choice would have been great. But sir, you're being so mean. You're being... Sir, you don't have to do that every time I press a button. I thought the explosion would be delayed. Again, you don't have to do that every single time I press any button. Yeah, that would be delayed like that. Anyways, I'm gonna move back over here where we have more room. Bop. Ow. Yeah, having that option would have been fantastic. I would have loved that. But the fact that you don't get that option really hurt Lita and all of them in my eyes. And so I wouldn't say that I dislike Lita now, but she's definitely taken at least one hit. Probably 2, maybe 3. I thought he was gonna do the, like, swing the sword up and then slam it back down, but he didn't. But yeah, so I'd say that, like, before beating the DLC, or before she went against you, I should say, before she went against you and you were forced to fight her, Lita was my favorite NPC in the DLC. No question. And Ansbach was very good, but a clear second. And after we were forced to fight her, I was very conflicted about that. And now that I've had a bit of time to stew on that, I'm gonna say that Ansbach is my favorite NPC now. I prefer Ansbach to Leda now. Oh. How did I miss that? Oh, it was so easy to hit and I just didn't. But yeah, purely because even if you always side with her, she still turns against you. Because of that, she got knocked out of the #1 spot. And if she gets knocked down more than that, I'm conflicted. Yeah, I'm conflicted on that. Whether she's 2 or gets knocked down to 3. Because I like Freya as well. But if I remember correctly, Freya is another NPC that you're forced to go against. Can we get down there? We can. Alright, so I'm just trying to think about the NPCs that you don't have to go against. And I think it's just Ansbach and what's his face? Talia. Now, if Horn Scent can stay with you the entire time,
Go to them in that first set.
I don't know if we can stick with Horn Scent the entire time.
We are all. It is what binds. Wondering about true enough? Long ago, a cleansing by fire.
So nothing new there. Can we level up? We can. Alright, but I don't know if we can stick with Horn Scent the entire time. Or if he'll betray us as well. Although I don't think that matters. We're gonna test it out this run. We're gonna side with Horn Scent instead of Lita in their fight. My original plan was to side with Lita against him and then Ansbach against Lita. But I'm just gonna jump straight to siding with Horn Scent and see what happens. Although even if he does stick with you to the end, which I kinda doubt that. But even if that's how it is, I don't think he would overtake Alita. Because I just don't like the Horn Scent nearly that much. He's not a bad NPC, I'm just not really a fan. I wonder what his reward is, though. Like, the reward for siding with him. Because at first, like, during the first run, I thought it was his weapon. But his weapon just looks like the backhand blade. And the reason I thought it was his weapon was because I didn't find the backhand blade out in the wild. But I did at the end of the run. Which naturally brings up the question of, okay, well then what is the reward? It might be that Ash of War. The powerful one that PvP skill spammers love to use. Because there is a backhand blade skill.
Stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death in the embrace of Mesmer's flame.
Okay. Ow. Gotta hand it to you. You got some pretty strong attacks to you. However, whips.
Mark my words, graceless heathen. Thou shalt not evade the flame of Mesmer.
Whips. Raise attack power after defeating an enemy. I have no... I know that I came here and got invaded and killed this guy, but I have no memory of this. That sounds pretty good. Not like a go-to. Not part of my go-to arsenal of Dragon Crest, Great Shield, Blessed Dew, Taker's Cameo. But pretty good. But moving on, like I said, there is a skill for backhand blades that a lot of PvP skill spammers are addicted to, which after the first run ended, oh bad, but after the first run ended and before this run started, it got nerfed. And like I said, my second character, I've been playing online. I've been doing co-op, helping other people. And I haven't been playing as much on that character since that patch, but I have played a bit. And I've been getting invaded a lot while helping others. Because the game is super popular and the DLC is new. But I haven't been seeing that skill as much. I'm gonna take this and leave. Goodbye. But yeah, I haven't been seeing it as much. Though, that could be because I haven't been playing as much. Don't do it. Oh, yep. I was gonna say, is it gonna break if we move here? Which, yes. Alright, so my thought was correct. It is about Shadowkeep, not Bonnie Village. The Great Rune breaking. Good to know. Still don't know if it's fine to let it break, or if that's something that I should be putting off. That's something I haven't figured out yet. And we're not doing Shadowkeep just yet. I just wanted to get the Site of Grace. Yeah, I haven't been seeing that skill as much, but I might use it. Not for PvP, because I'm not a filthy skill spammer when it comes to PvP. I'm a great sword wielder, so you can call me filthy in that regard. Because greatsword, it's either greatswords are overpowered, or it's that no one knows how to deal with greatswords because of that idea of they're jack of all trades, master of none. The slam, like Horaloo slams, stunned me long enough to let the weapon slam down get me. Good on them for the teamwork. But anyways, yeah, so I'm not entirely sure if that's just how extremely oppressive greatswords are, or if it's a thing of most people see them as a jack of all trades and master of none, and therefore don't tend to use them or have much experience with them. And so therefore, when I do pull one out, they aren't sure on how to deal with it. I feel like it could be either of those. But yeah, whenever doing PvP, which I don't invade, so in other words, whenever I get invaded and have to deal with invaders, even though it's a magic run, I would pull out a greatsword. I don't have any on me right now, but I would pull out a greatsword, and instead of using magic, I would just use that. Outside of occasional people, like certain skills, or against other magic spammers, I would use magic. Oh, he jumped up. He was ready to pull out his special signature move, and I just stopped him. I said, "No, sir. We are not partaking in that." And Black Scale Twinblade. Well, that felt kind of rude of me. I'm sorry about that, sir. Or madam. It feels like I should have let you use your super special signature move. That was in play to me to interrupt. So I'm sorry for that. That's on me. That's my fault. But yeah, for the most part, when dealing with invaders, I would just pull out a greatsword, and no one knew how to deal with it. And it wasn't even like I was doing any big brain tactics. I would just two-hand and just go. And that was it. I would just two-hand a greatsword, and I would R1 spam. And it destroyed almost every invader. Ooh. Once again, I smacked you out of your signature move. I'm sorry for that. That was so mean of me. And you can die. And you can die as well. But yeah, that's just what I did. I would put away my glintstone staff. I'd pull out the greatsword. I would two-hand, and I'd just R1 spam. And for the most part, it worked. Like, I was actually keeping track of how many times I got invaded and how many times I won and lost. And I kept, give or take 1 or 2 points, I kept a 90% win rate. And again, I was just pulling out a Greatsword and R1 spamming. Not min-maxed at all, not using skills, not using any of my sorceries. Just pulling out a Greatsword. And you could say that that's skewed because I was helping other people and therefore it was a 2-on-1. But also people were using, I think it's called backhand slash. The like super powerful PvP skill. And then there was the ancient meteoric orb blade. There were a lot of invaders using that skill. And it's either colossal sword or colossal weapon. But the skill has you throw yourself forward in like a thrust attack. And then there's a follow-up where you'd like squeeze the weapon and it would explode in electricity. That was rude. Yeah, most of the losses came from people using those 2 skills. And in the case of the ancient meteoric orb blade, just a one-shotting the host. And then in the case of the backhand blade skill, it'd be them just spamming it until either me or the host died. And that was my like win-loss condition. Where if me or the host died, it was a loss. If the invader died, it was a win. Oop. But there were some invasions that I didn't count. Because there were... I'm trying to think how many there were. Off the top of my head, I can only think of 3. But it may have been more. But invasions where either the invader clearly wasn't being serious. Like there was one where they were just running around with like the normal basic fist weapon. And they were just R1 spamming. So basically just running, going. And they were doing like 150 damage, I think, per swing. Which, as you can see, 1,900 HP, so... I didn't count that. Because the invader was clearly just goofing off. And then there were a few invasions where they just either didn't have a weapon or they would have like a really bad weapon. I don't remember what that other purple item was. I'm pretty sure it's a cookbook. I just don't remember what it gets you. Mesmer Fire, I think? Could be Mesmer Fire. We can go get it. But when I say bad weapons, I mean like an unupgraded dagger or an unupgraded like S stock. So basically a weapon that hasn't been upgraded and therefore has garbage damage. And so there were also 1 or 2 invasions. Yeah, Mesmer Fire Grease. But there were also 1 or 2 where the invader would be nice. And they would just do gestures or just follow us around. Hello. But not attack. I didn't count those either. I only counted the invasions where they were actually trying and putting in effort to kill us using legitimate upgraded weapons. And as of right now, because I'm still counting, like I'm still counting up, but as of right now, it's around 110, I think, of just the legitimate fights. Oh, you. Hi. Forger Cookbook 1. Okay. Anyways. But it was... I think it's 110. At least around their legitimate invasions. And I've lost... either 11 or 12. And again, you could say that that's bias because it's a 2v1 in the host's favor. But some hosts, not all, but some would just sit back because they didn't want to deal with invaders. And you gotta remember, the host and I had to kill enemies, and invaders didn't. And so some would hide behind groups of enemies or hide behind bosses. And there was 1 invasion where we were in the middle of a field boss. Like one of the Ghost Flame Dragons. Speak of the devil. But we'd be in the middle of a field boss and an invader would show up. And so we would have to deal with a boss and an invader at the same time. And they were also skill spamming, which I didn't do. Like I said, I just pulled out a Greatsword. Not even what my build was meant for. But that's what I used for invasions. And most of the hosts didn't either. Like, they didn't skill spam or magic spam. A few did, but it was a lot more common for the invaders than for me or any of the people I was helping. And so I think that things like that make up for the us having 2 people. I think it evens out. But yeah, so in case you didn't catch it, this was all a ploy for me to once again wrap you into my greatsword propaganda. Not using greatswords, not even a strength build. Doesn't matter, I'm still wrapping you back into this with that greatsword propaganda, because greatswords are the best weapon class, and like I said, they're just great. If you're having a hard time with invaders, have a greatsword. Hi. Hi. Like I said, they're simply the best weapon class. They've got good damage, good range. I hear a glowy, but I don't see a glowy. Kind of sounds like it's over here, question mark? Where's the glowy? Oh, I heard it vanish. Well, there's a big guy. That's fine. That is completely fine. A-okay. Yeah, see? He's running away from us. He is terrified. Quaking in his boots at the mere sight. At the mere sight of a whip. He was doing everything in his power to desperately run away, hoping beyond hope that his allies would come and save him from the whips. But back on topic, greatswords. Good damage, good range. Not the best, but still serviceable speed. Not the best, but still not bad weight. They've got good scaling, good poise damage, good stance damage. Oh, there it is. Ta-da! But yeah, greatswords just have everything. And while they're not the best at any one thing, that's not the point of them. Because if something is the best at one thing, it has major drawbacks in other areas. And greatswords, they're not the best at anything, but they're consistently, like, top 5. And they have no drawbacks, which is very, very nice. So, highly recommend them. In PvP as well, because but invaders tend to use a decent variety of things, but they always seem to gravitate towards the same, like, 5-ish weapons / skills. And greatswords are pretty good against them. Scadu tree fragment. Like, take that backhand blade skill, for example. The main way I beat invaders using that skill was to just two-hand my greatsword and just swing on them. And they would usually hit me like 2-3 times. Purple items have such variety and quality. But they could usually get a good like 2, 3, 4 hits in. But then that was it. Because then I would just hit them with the greatsword. Because you can, when you're two-handing the greatsword, you can actually just power through. And, like, you can just hyper armor your way through, and it's pretty good. And once you hit them once, you can typically hit them a second time, because those people, for some reason, don't wear 51 poise armor. For some reason. A lot of them wore the Caterpillar set. Or some other light set, like the blue cloth set. Or this set. I don't know what it's called, because I think all the pieces have different names. But I saw one wearing Ronin set. I saw one wearing the Black Knife set. Or it was the Black Knight armor. I don't know if the rest of the set was on, or if it was a different set. But I know they had this on. Presumably for the Silent Footsteps. But yeah, they tend to have pretty poor poise. Because, again, this was pre 1.13 where it got nerfed. I don't know if they've changed things up since then. But that's how they did it. Light, weak armor, and spam the backhand blade skill. Not the one it has on by default of Blind Spot, but the other one. The one where you dash forward and has a, like, flurry of attacks. And so, if you could hit them with a greatsword, they just crumbled almost immediately. And it was hilarious to see. But we got a note. Oh, it was way back here. Seek me to the east if you wish to pursue the way of the warrior. I'm assuming it means Dryleaf Dane. If you find me, you will challenge me to a bout. There's no need for words. We got a thing with it. May the best win. Maybe we're supposed to do this? Oh. Uh-huh. Oh, you're here. Sir, please don't kick me. I don't like feet. Oh. Okay. As I said, curved swords are really good for one-on-one fights against, like, human-sized enemies that don't have a ton of poise or too much mobility. So in the base game, whips were a lot better against, like, if he was in the base game, whips would have been way better because of the animation readers, but seems like the DLC ones aren't lathered in animation readers the way base game guys are. So you can actually do this and have it work. So please. Did I forget to pick this up? No, this was something new. Hold on. Dryleaf Arts. A technique for hand-to-hand combat without the aid of a weapon. This martial art combines fist strikes and kicks. The techniques of a group of spiritual seekers known as the Dryleaf Sect, revealed only to those of worthy valor and character. The practice of this martial art marks the dawn of an ascetic's journey. I don't know what ascetic means. Skill, Palm Blast. Skill, the spiritual seekers known as the Dryleaf Sect imbue his hand with energy before using a palm strike to unleash an explosive blast. The already formidable power and impact can be bolstered by charging the attack. Right, so that was the R1 combo. That was the charged combo. Backstep, roll, jumping light, jumping heavy, running light, running heavy, two-handed, light attack combo. Backstep, roll, heavy, jump light, jump heavy, running light, running heavy, and then tap the skill and hold the skill. Neat. And then Dane's hat. The sun-faded and lightly soiled hat of Dryleaf Dane, worn low over the eyes. It obscures the wearer's vision. Meeting the gaze of another can overcome the senses, often leading to the downfall of those who would walk the noble and solitary seeker's path. And you can get the rest of his set at a later point in Reclusus of the River. But okay. We can end things here. We got the Carian Sorcery Sword. We got the ability to craft hefty oil pots. We got the Serpent Flail, the Black Steel Great Shield, Arrow's Soaring Sting Talisman, Map Fragment. We got the Crusade Insignia to boost attack power when defeating an enemy, which is very nice. We got the Black Steel Twinblade. Not a fan of it having holy damage. I wish it was pure physical, but still, love Twinblades. We got the ability to craft the Golden Vow consumable item. We got the ability to craft Mesmer Fire Grease. We got the ability to craft Spell-Proof Pickled Liver. We got the Ashvor Piercing Throw. We got the Shattered Stone Talisman. We got some Scadu Fragments. We got several, actually. And then finally, we found a new boss, getting us Dryleaf Arts and Dane's hat. I wonder if that means we won't have to fight Dryleaf Dane when we fight Lita. Whew. Hopefully not, but with that being said, good progress today. I'm happy with that, and yeah.